Project B, My Ideal Early Childhood Education Classroom by Courtney Elgins. I had two impactful moments that helped to shape my vision of early childhood education and how I want my classrooms to look like when I become a teacher. The first one was when I was a junior in high school. I remember being in honors pre-calc and my teacher was teaching us how to do fractions, and I forgot how to transfer them or change them in some way. And I just remember asking for help, and she looked at me and said, "Well, you should know this." And I was just like, "Okay, like I don't, so could you help me?" And she's just like, "No, like you should be able to do this. Like you are an honors pre-calc." And to me, that's just really disheartening, and especially as a teacher, because as a teacher, our roles are to be there for our students and to be able to help them when they have a problem. And to me, like looking back, I still kind of have a resentment towards her for that. So that's something I definitely want to make sure that I don't do with my students. On a more positive note, I remember having this my algebra teacher back in 8th grade. I remember, I think it was fractions again. I've always had troubles with fractions, and he helped me to see how to convert them with using Kit Kat bars. So I thought that was really interesting that he tried to use something that I would be familiar with to try to help me to understand the subject matter that we were discussing at that time. So I definitely will take that into consideration with my students, trying to apply things that they use in everyday life to help them make sure that they are understanding what is being taught at that time. To me, the goals of early childhood education is to make sure that our students are developing that strong foundation of knowing the language, their writing skills, their reading skills, science, math, and history. All of those are very important, and that is what our job is as early childhood educators, is to make sure that these kids are getting this foundation. Some of the other goals that I think are very important is offering a place in a nice, safe environment that the kids feel like they enjoy going to and they feel safe coming to school. Based on my recent observations at Buckeye and Capopa Elementary School, I have seen firsthand how children learn and develop, and I believe that it is through repeated exposure to multiple activities and that they are always being engaged and that there isn't a second in the classroom when they are not doing something. Here is one of the activities that the kids were working on one of the days that I visited. They were focusing on trying to draw happy and angry jack-o'-lanterns. Copel and Bread Camp 1997 state the kindergarten teacher can enhance that happiness and help the child grow emotionally when he or she develops a bond with the child. By developing this bond, it has a huge impact on a child's emotional development, which is why it's so important to create a strong and loving bond with one's students. These pictures show a few of the activities that students at Buckeye Elementary partake in on a daily basis in their kindergarten classroom. According to Bread Camp and Copel 1997, the national recommendations state that kindergartens need at least 60 minutes, if not more than 30 minutes at a time, of moderate to vigorous physical activity on all or most days. So by doing these many activities, the kids are getting some of their exercise by moving around the classroom. And these activities show just a few of the classroom materials that were in the classrooms. One of the writing activities that I saw used in the classroom was a skyline, plane line, grass line, and worm line chart, which the students used to practice their writing as part of their curriculum. As mentioned by Copel and Bread Camp 1997, writing is an especially important area of fine motor development at this age, as children develop an increased desire to communicate through written expression. This is certainly an activity that I would love to use in my classroom, just from seeing the reactions on the kids' faces and how they were so excited to do this activity every day. According to NAEYC, the 5 effective teaching strategies are creating a caring community of learners, teaching to enhance development and learning, planning curriculum to achieve important goals, assessing children's development and learning, and establishing reciprocal relationships with families. So in my classroom, I would like to incorporate different ways of going around my classroom and making sure that my kids are developmentally where they at, and then that if they need help, I am instructing them on how to do so to fix what they are doing wrong. Also, to make sure that the parents are involved in some shape or form with our classroom, is maybe they could come in, one parent could come in once a week and maybe do a little activity with the kids. A good rewarding system that I got to witness in one of the classrooms was called a Smarty Pants. And whenever the kids would say a really good remark or answer a question correctly, the teacher would be like, "Oh, you're such a Smarty Pants." So then they would go over to the Smarty Pants bag and they would grab out a Smarty candy that they could eat in class. As early educators, it is our job to set the tone of how kids should behave in our classrooms. As Copel and Breadcamp believe, self regulation is an internal ability to intentionally control our emotions and behavior as the situation demands. It involves children either making themselves not do something, such as not to blurt out an answer, or making themselves do something even when the desire isn't there, such as stopping playing to clean up their puzzle pieces that they are using. According to Copel and Breadcamp, compared with those learning only in English, children with limited proficiency in English are more likely to experience long term academic success when they receive systematic, deliberate exposure to English combined with ongoing opportunities to learn important concepts in their home language. If English replaces the home language and children do not have an opportunity to continue to learn in the language they know, their future linguistic, conceptual, and academic development in English is at risk. So, some of my proposed strategies for working with English language learners is that we have an on-hand staff member who is capable of speaking Spanish. That way, the kids can work with her and make sure that they are still learning the concepts in Spanish in writing, and then also applying it to how they are spelled in English. That way the kids are still using both languages. That way they are on the right path of success. That way they are continuing their education, and that way they will be successful in knowing both English and Spanish. I believe my classroom reflects how development appropriate practice applies, especially with having a good, strong foundation of a classroom community. And according to Copel and Breadcamp, this is accomplished by teachers act to create a cohesive community of learners by establishing common ground in the classroom. The children have opportunities to act as leaders and helpers with specific tasks. All children are given a chance to participate and are drawn into class activities in a variety of ways. Class meetings are used to solve and prevent problems and provide a forum for discussion. And a variety of opportunities for peer interaction are offered throughout the day and throughout the week. Children work with partners as well as in small and whole group situations. Teachers encourage peer-to-peer scaffolding and assisting when possible. By allowing the kids to be able to work in groups, this really helps them to be able to build a strong foundation with their peers, and then also with the teacher as well, since they are in a close-knit group of kids, and for the teacher to develop plans that allow the kids to be able to work with their friends is very good, since it allows for them to interact with their friends and to be able to move around a lot, which really creates a very well developed environment for the kids. Along with teaching communities, it's also important to make sure that the teachers are able to enhance development and learning. That way, their kids are able to have the best learning experience that they can. And according to Copel and Breadcamp, teachers should use a variety of instructional strategies to suit particular learning goals, specific situations, and the needs of individual children. These strategies can include encouraging children, offering specific feedback, modeling skills or positive behavior, creating or adding challenge, giving a cue, hint, or other assistance. Such approaches are used within any learning context and during child-guided activities. In addition to these guided lessons and activities, there is time allotted each day for children experiences, including play. These may be during center time or other parts of the day, and teachers support children's deep engagement in these experiences by adequately scheduling time, providing interesting materials, and thoughtfully intervening and assisting as needed. So with having these allotted times for the kids to have time to themselves really helps for them to be able to enhance their development and their learning skills, because they will be more intrigued when it's time to do a certain activity that day.
In addition to enhancing development and the teaching community in the classroom, Culper and Bread Camp state that teachers, administrators, and school staff work to foster supportive relationships with families throughout the school year. Teachers solicit parents' knowledge about their children and input about their goals and concerns, and they use this information in ongoing assessment, evaluation, and planning. Families are welcome to visit the classroom as arranged with the teachers, and they are encouraged to do so. Family members are offered opportunities to participate through various means, such as volunteering or observing in the classroom, accompanying children on field trips, and attending school events. Parents' work schedules are accommodated to the extent possible when planning events, conferences, and activities. My classroom would involve a lot of work with families because in terms of taking tests and making sure that their kids are on the right reading level or even the right English level, the parents would definitely be involved to see how they are at home. And then I would be okay with the families coming in and having a guided activity with the kids. That way they are involved in this classroom and at home too. As a teacher, I plan to use developmentally appropriate practices to help make sure that my classroom is very effective and it's a safe and a fun environment for the kids to be in. Also, I plan to make sure that the families are well informed of how their kids are doing and what they do need to work on. So with developmentally appropriate practice, I am able to accomplish all of these things. And it makes me really excited to become a teacher. That way I can start using these practices in my classroom. So I can make sure that the students have the same amount of excitement as I do when I teach.